Okay, tuloy-tuloy ho tayo sa ating program, no? Ako po si Sunny Laragan dito po sa Legal Advice Corner. Pero syempre, alam ho natin na hindi ho ako ang star of the show, no? Ang star of the show natin ay walang iba syempre kundi yung ating pinakamamahal na abogada ng bayan. Walang iba syempre kundi si Attorney Danna Quinto. Happy Tuesday once again, Attorney.
Happy Tuesday once again, Mr. Laragan. Tuloy po kayo. Balik po ulit tayo dito sa Legal Advice Corner. Matapos nating pag-usapan ng mga ulam natin mamaya. Balik trabaho na naman tayo. Magtrabaho na naman muna tayo.
Yes.
Bago tayo kumain.
Oh, okay. O sige, ito na yung ating topic, no? Discussing parenting plan, no? Parenting plan with ex-spouse. Sige, take it away,
Or soon
Attorney.
to be ex-spouse, as we said. Or soon to be ex-spouse.
Yes.
Ito yung mga sinasabi ko parate na, di ba, sabi ko yung tatlong areas na kailangan yung, that you need to deal with in times of separation. We said children, finances, at yung actual divorce. And yung advice ko in terms of children, and we are trained to say this, is that if you can try to agree between yourselves, that's much better for everyone involved. Because at the end of the day, ang law, ang primary consideration in this area is very simple. What is in the best interest of the child or of your children? So that's, yun lang ang tatandaan nyo. All throughout this, when you deal with what we call parenting plan with your ex-spouse or soon-to-be ex-spouse, if you are at the cross, or if you are at a disagreement, if you are at the point where you're may friction kayo on the decision, that is the only criteria. Yun lang ang tanong, what is in the best interest of the children? Yung topic na to, it is hope that when I say to my clients, please can you try and talk to your spouse or to your ex-spouse about this? Ito yung tools nyo, ito yung guidelines nyo, ito yung checklist nyo, kung ano yung pag-uusapan nyo, ano yung topic, ano yung, sige, ikaw mag-alaga sa bata, ako dito. Hindi lang yon actually. There's a lot of details in this particular parenting plan. This is actually decisions that either, if you are in agreement, we can put in what we call a children arrangement order. Pinag-usapan natin din sa jargon buster natin. Or, if the court has to make an order and will impose it on you, that's also the type of orders or mga provisions that they will put in. It's okay, this is a template, walang pangalan yan. A final children order. So ito yung para bigyan kayo ng structure, para bigyan kayo ng starting point so that how you can organize the children's lives. So let's get right into it. Itong parenting plan na to, this is a term that Kafka normally uses. May mga parenting plan document na makukuha, mada-download nyo for free sa Kafka's online, but it's quite general. What we're going to give to you are specific details, topics, talking points, kumbaga, talking points that you'll go through with your ex-spouse. Let's start with the first one, the pinaka-importante, child care arrangement. So the first question is, who's going to be the primary carer? Sino ang saang household yung mga bata most of the time? And obviously, the second question, the follow-up question, is how much time will they spend with the other non-resident parents? So sa ating mga Pinoy, kung kanino titira most of the time, weekdays yung mga bata, weekends, alternate weekends, dun ba sa other parent? In between, may weekday, overnight, weekday ba? So that's the starting point. That's pretty much the starting point. Yung tinatawag na custody, yes, I know a lot of people still use that. Hindi na po yan ang term natin ngayon. The term is primary carer or live with parent. That's the term that we use. The other parent is what we call the parent who the child spends time with. So we use that para hindi masyado, kumbaga, contentious yung mga yung semantics namin, yung mga words namin. But in reality, when you sit down with former partner, former spouse, soon to be ex-spouse. Yun ang unang tanong. Sino mag-aalaga most of the time ng bata? And the other parent, ano yung oras? You have to be specific. I'd like it to be specific from 5 p.m. on Friday until 5 p.m. on Sunday. It's okay to be specific. We want it to be specific. So an example, that's an example. You're going to the child from school at 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. and you're going to bring him back or bring her back by 5 p.m. and then alternate weekends. And kung yung weekend nawala siya sa'yo, you can have an overnight contact or even a midweek evening contact, so they can have dinner with the other non-resident parent. Those are samples. Second thing, sinong in charge sa extracurricular? So if you're together, meron na kayong routine yan. Sinong susundo sa football, sinong susundo sa ballet, sinong gagawa ng X, Y, and Z. So you have to think about this. You have to think about ano yung routine ng mga anak nyo and what do they need. You know, what do they need? Who do they need? Sino ang mas fit to do the running around and all of that. So think about extracurriculars when you're doing the parenting plan. Think about ano yung schedule yung dalawang parents. What time are you coming home? What time the other parents will be available? So those things. Next, school holidays. Everyone wants lahat ng parents, and this is normal, you know, equal school holidays. Hindi lang pwede, you know, sa other parent lang all the time, and the other parent is puro school days lang, and the other parent always have the holidays. Normally, we say kung agree naman kayo on most things, it's just fair to ask for equal school holidays. And it's actually good to plan in advance. So I say to the client, it's good to have two meetings. Una, January, and then before the school starts. So alam nyo kung who's gonna take who at kung saang holiday. So you have a calendar between yourselves. I'll talk about kung ano yung practical tools on that. So you have that meeting and you pretty much set out kung ano yung mga activities nyo. Ito, may sound na obvious, but minsan nakakalimutan, and it's better na klaro rather than not. Mother's Day at Father's Day, you know, just make sure everyone's obviously kung Mother's Day, you know, can they spend time Mother's Day? Same with Father's Day. Same with birthdays, hindi lang birthdays ng bata, ha? So normally birthdays ng bata, what I see is an agreement na hati sila sa araw, or kung school age or teenager na, maybe 1 day celebration, 1 year celebrating with mom and the next year celebrating with dad. There's a lot of ways dealing with it. You have to obviously see kung ano yung mas in tune sa needs and wants ng mga anak, and then you can discuss between yourselves. But birthdays, as I've said, very important. Birthdays ng bata and birthday ng magulang. So yung sabi ng magulang ay, you know, I want to spend my birthday with them, so can I have that as well? So discuss that. Discuss not just their birthdays, but your birthdays as well. Any other special holidays? So depende sa religion, depende sa culture, depende sa you know, your family, kung ano yung may mga tradition ba kayo, or may mga special holidays with the grandparents, with the aunties, with the titas. Discuss that as well. Mas maayos na klaruhin nyo at the start. Once you get into routine every year, once you get into first year and second year routine na ginagawa to, hopefully you can just replicate that for the next few years until kailangan nyo na ma-adjust. Depende, siguro teenager na yung mga bata, or iba na yung routine nyo. So talk about that. Holiday plans sa atin, sino uuwi sa Pilipinas? Kailan sila uuwi? You know, baka naman may mga kamag-anak tayo sa US or elsewhere and you want to take them. So parents do need to know if their children are going away abroad. That's normally a very sensitive topic, especially with international families. Sabihin nyo, balik mo yung bata sa UK, ha? With that, you have to agree who's going to keep the passport. Normally, it's the parent who has the primary care kung saan sila nakatira, just because they may need a passport for school, they may need a passport for suddenly for for whatever thing. So it's always good to talk about it. Who gets to keep the passport? In certain cases na may concern about potentially taking the children out of the jurisdiction, that's the legal term. Sa madaling salita, ilalabas yung bata at hindi na ibabalik. They can agree na abogado, a lawyer, or the court sometimes will hold the passport for the family for a certain period of time. But as I've said, the starting point today is hopefully sana ay magkaroon kayo ng agreement between yourselves, or this is the starting point, and you can see, pwede natin i-agree to, or, this we can agree, but other provisions we can't agree. So this is a guide for you to see if you can have a compromise between you two. So not just that, we're talking about travel, back to domestic tayo, handover. Are you in good in a good kumbaga, are you both in decent diplomatic civil ba kayo ng ex mo that you can have handovers quite peacefully without having an argument in front of the child or in front of the children? Kung ganon, then fine, you can say, oh please, ito ang kailangan yung iklaro, who's gonna pick up the children, and as I've said, what time. So who's gonna pick up and who's going to collect the children as well. So what's fair is hati-hati din kayo. But sometimes hindi maganda yung ending ng relationship, and then you may need a third party. Siguro kailangan ng isang tita or auntie who will pick up the children and who will assist the handover for a period of time until okay na yung relationship. So that's something to think about. Can you do handovers, or do you need someone to assist in the handovers para hindi kayo magkita ng ex mo? So think about that. Any other conditions, any other concerns? So there are instances na I've seen provisions that says, mag-breathalyzer ka muna if there are concerns about alcoholism or drug or substance abuse. I've seen orders that says, before contact, the other party would have to do a breathalyzer. But bear in mind proportionality. Hindi lang to, as I've said, this is not all of this is for the best interest of the child. This is not another opportunity to have a go at each other na inisin nyo yung isa't isa. Hindi ito. Dahil makikita yan ng korte later on. If you're still not agreeing, the court will ask you, bakit? Ano nangyari? Nag-parenting plan naman kayo. Tiningnan nyo naman tong mga checklist na to. Ano nangyari? What are you not agreeing? So, if you're being unreasonable, hindi rin maganda yon. You've got to be reasonable. You have to be proportionate kung ano nga yung issue, totoong issue dito sa relationship between a parent and a child. So if there are safeguarding concerns and those concerns are legitimate, by all means, let's introduce measures to safeguard the children, to make sure they're safe. But it has to be for the best interest of the child. Hindi para inisin ang kabilang partido. Next, communication. In this type of situation, obviously, yung backdrop ng sitwasyon nito is, it's a tough time. It's a breakup of a marriage. It's a breakup of a family. People are stressed. People are hurt. People are emotional. And it affects communication between parties. So it's good to find a way to rebuild a positive and healthy communication. Hindi man yung tawag kayo ng tawag sa isa't isa. Sometimes it's a problem, sasabihin mo, ayoko, hindi ayoko na tinatawagan ako, gusto kong itago yung new number ko. We say sometimes, okay, fair enough, kung talagang may breakdown yung communication, may breakdown yung relationship, but you still have to talk about the children. What you can do, practical tips, you can have a special email address para lang sa children arrangement, the childcare arrangement mo, sa children arrangement nyo, sa parenting plan nyo, a dedicated email address for you both to discuss this. At yun lang yung i-discuss nyo. Meron na ring mga app and shared calendar na mga apps or for parenting, two parents na separated applications out there that you can download. I'll give you a couple of examples, and these are actually, I've seen this in my cases, recommended by Kafkas. Nakita ko siya na ganun na sila. They're very technology focused too. You can use App Close, that's app close. Find that in normal app, free ata yan. And the other one is two, as in the number two, twohouses.com. So these are apps that enable you to communicate between yourselves purely for the sake of the children. A shared calendar, example is Cozy, C-O-Z-I. That's there as well. I think that's free too. So may mga technological products there that can help you. Hindi na kailangan na, minsan kasi sabihin ng kliyente, ako binla ko na siyang kulit or, we had the breakup, we had the separation. I don't really want to be texting or talking to him or to her about, other things except for the children. So you've got those examples. And as I've said, recommended yan. Nakita ko na yung na-recommend ng Kafkas. Next is quite important because the children they need the financial support of both parents or ng parents nila. So you need to talk about money. You need to talk about child maintenance. There's child maintenance services. It's a separate department ng gobyerno who can assist. It's quite fairly simple in terms of calculating child maintenance, depending on how many nights the other parent is how many nights the children are spending with each parent. So they have their calculator. You have to talk about expenses, extracurricular or other expenses. You have to talk about budgeting, and that's the reason why I always say, have a discussion. Hindi lang to ngayon, may parenting plan dahil ngayon lang. Actually, this will probably be a yearly thing or a twice yearly thing, one at the start of the year and one before the start of a school term. That's quite useful to talk about maybe uniforms, big trips this year, big expenses this year for the children, and you can sit down and also budget for that, also prepare for that as parents. You may not necessarily be in a relationship anymore, but the reality is you will be co-parents for quite a while. And even after 18 na sila, parati ko sinasabi, you will still see each other. Graduation, wedding nila, baptism na magiging apo nyo, they're gonna be in your life. They're going to be in the periphery of your life. So the sooner that you can find, at all possible, a positive and civil way of dealing with them, much better for everyone. So yes. Next is education. So going back to yung sabi ko, it's good to have a chat before the school term. Meron bang kailangan big decision about moving schools, about which courses to take? Do they need extra lessons? How's their progress? Is the other parent getting school reports and progress reports? May mga school term plans ba na kailangan malaman ng both parents? So it's always good to discuss that. So even if separated kayo, even if non-resident yung isang parent niya, both parents, both na may parental responsibility, they have a right over these things: health, education, and the child rearing decisions. So just because hindi nakatira sa inyo yung bata, it doesn't mean na wala kayong voice, na wala kayong equal voice in terms of these things. So you have to talk about that. You have to see kung ano yung kailangan na decision nyo about those things. And the rest, is other issues. Nakalagay din yun sa parenting plan. Any other issues, any other safeguarding risk. Meron ba kayong concern with how the other parent is in terms of their capacity as a parent, in terms of their ability to give the child a safe environment? Will the contact be safe? Are there any risks that you need to air out between yourselves? So talk about that. Pag-usapan yon. As I've said, this is not about the breakdown of your relationship. This is not about para inisin nyo yung isa't isa. This is really about one thing. The only thing that matters in this conversation is the best interest of the children. So once you put all nasagot niyo na yung bawat question na yon, you see kung saan kayo agreed, you see kung saan kayo hindi pa agree, and then you can get legal advice on that. Balik kayo sa attorney, agree kami dito, pero hindi kami, we can't agree about this other thing. And then we will see kung ano yung argument of each party about this particular decision. And hopefully, okay, kung talagang hindi talaga magkaroon ng kompromiso, if you really need the court, you're not just talking about 10 different issues. You're only talking about one issue na hindi nyo talaga mapagkusunduan. And you have 9 issues that you are agreed on, which means much more efficient, much cheaper in legal cost nyo, and much quicker ang determination ng issue. And mas hindi kayo asar sa isa't isa. And you have the energy, the patience, and the negotiation bandwidth to deal with other things. So again, let me wrap that up. This is not an exhaustive list. Obviously, kailangan nyo tingnan kung ano yung mag-a-apply sa pamilya nyo, kung ano yung particular needs and wishes ng mga bata, kung ano yung mga nuances and dynamics ng buhay nyo. So the main points to note is childcare arrangement. Really get into the nitty-gritty of it. Talagang may schedule. You have to sit down and work out a plan, a very structured plan, para walang klaro ang expectation, para konti ang argument in the future. So think about special days. Ito lang, think about anything that you really want to spend with your loved ones. I think yun yung hint doon. And then talk about communications. Be savvy, be tech savvy sa gagamitin yung tools in terms of dealing with each other. We talk about shared calendars, we talk about this app. And then money, you have to discuss it. You probably have to discuss that once a year or twice a year. The same with education, once a year and twice a year. Education calendar, their calendar, school term calendar for the year. And as I've said, hopefully this will give you practical tools so that you can get an agreement or be as close as possible to an agreement. Para pag tumawag na kayo sa free consultation, is you're just left with talagang ano yung hindi nyo mapagkasunduan. So hopefully that's very helpful for you guys, or sa mga kaibigan nyo, if someone's undergoing some situations like this, please direct them to this post. And if you need any further questions, mamaya we'll flash kung saan kami pwede makontak.